Hey, this is just a quick video about part 3 of the project. Really just 3 parts to this, though it's going to take a little bit of work. First, you have to follow your sampling procedure from part 1. Be sure to look at any feedback that I gave you if you have to do any changes there. Document that in terms of what was your response rate. Did people not come and talk to you? Where exactly did you go? And we'll talk about how you're supposed to write that. And then some basic calculations. So in terms of your sampling strategy, you want to look at your strategy that you did from part 1. Be sure to make any changes that I gave you in your part 1 feedback. And then look for some inaccuracies or unusual observations. Is there something that after you entered in the data seems a little off? And kind of inspect your data and take a look through to make sure that everything was collected correctly. In terms of documenting the procedure, you want to record the dates, times, and places. You also want to include your response rate. So how many people didn't respond? Is there anything typical about them? Did the people who didn't respond, was there something in common about them maybe that affected your results, that might affect your calculations because you left out everybody who was rushed or whatever the reason is for people for not responding. And then in paragraph form, you're going to document that survey procedure, and you're going to use the past tense passive voice. So this is something that happened in the past. It's going to be third person passive, which means, and I've got an example here. So instead of I distributed the survey was distributed. So it's past tense and it's passive. The survey was distributed instead of I distributed the survey. At the end here, every third person that walked by was asked. And so again, that's the past tense passive voice, not I didn't, I asked every third person that walked by. You're wording it this way. In terms of your data file, we're going to use StatCrunch. So here are the steps. We've talked about this in the project file as well. You save your file, then open it, and then you change the properties. So once you've got it, once you've got it in sharing in StatCrunch, you open the data properties by clicking on that I icon there at the bottom, and then you change to share with everyone, and then now you can share that URL. In terms of the calculation, you want a measure of center for each variable, so you pick one, either mean, median, or mode. Same thing for measure of dispersion. You want to choose an appropriate measure of center. And then calculate at least one linear correlation coefficient between two quantitative variables. And then finally, you do a written comparison with your 2 previously published studies. Some of you needed to find new ones, so make sure that you found those new ones and you're comparing your comparison proportion with your calculated sample proportion and the comparison mean. Was it more or less? And so you do that comparison there, and you can see examples in the example files. Lastly, I always mention, don't forget to read through the rubric and see exactly how you are going to be graded. If you have any questions, shoot me an email or catch me before or after class.